Hello, eighth graders. This is Mrs. McFarland again. And so now we're on lesson 2. So let's look at the Spark Your Learning and let's look at the I can statement again. I can translate figures, describe the translations using words and mapping notation. So there's something new that you'll learn. And determine an algebraic rule for translating a figure on a coordinate plane. So that is a lot in this lesson, but you'll see how it all comes together. So we're still working on transformations, and translations are just one type of transformation. And you did it a little bit in the last lesson where you were sliding things back and forth, and that's what translations are. So we'll get to the definition in just a minute, but let's look at the Spark Your Learning. So this is actually pretty cool, and I would encourage you to spend some time working on this, just playing around with it. I kind of enlarged this because it's kind of fun to just look at how you can move the pieces on a chessboard around. So they tell you pawns can move forward 1 or 2 squares on the first move and 1 square thereafter. So they're kind of limited. They can also move diagonally to capture another piece. Knights can move 2 squares horizontally and 1 square vertically, or 2 squares vertically and 1 square horizontally. So basically the knights can either go up 2 and over 1, or up 1 and over 2, or the other way also. That kind of looks the same, but you get the idea. So and then pawns can only move forward or diagonally forward, 2 squares on the first move or 1, and then 1 square after that, and then diagonally to capture. So I would encourage you to just, look at all the pieces that you have here. There's a knight here and a pawn here, and then a pawn here and a knight here. Just play around with moving them around and see if you can get to these, the blue dot, the red dot, and the yellow dot. So that's that first part, Spark Your Learning. So take some time to pause the video and go ahead and do that. So now we're in the Build Understanding section, and you can see here that they have, again, a vocabulary word. They define the word translation. It is the movement of a figure along a straight line. And I always like to think of it like the SL in slide. You're kind of sliding a figure, either up and down or side to side. And so that SL in translation always helped me remember that that's what transformation it was. So they say the figure that results from a transformation, such as a translation, is called the image and pre-image. And they give you these, they show you again with the knights from the chessboard. So they tell you that Aaron says that if the pawn shown below is translated 2 inches to the right, the pre-image and the image will have the same parallel line segments. And so I kind of did my own little drawing over here that you can see. Not beautiful, but you can kind of see that the lines that were parallel before are still parallel in the image. Okay, let's keep reading. The pre-image and image will have the same height and width. Hero says the parallel line segments will remain parallel, but the height and width will not be the same. So think about who is correct, which person is correct in what they're saying. And so they say find the dimensions and angle measures. Are the dashed line segments parallel? And so they're having you look at this drawing here. Trace the pawn, translate your tracing 2 inches to the right, and that's what I tried to do here. It's not exactly 2 inches, but that's my attempt at doing the pre-image and image. What is the relationship between the dimensions, angle measures, and the parallel segments of the pre-image and image? So they're wanting you, once you've done those measurements and thinking about that, you should be able to answer question C, which student is correct. And then in D, what translation must Aaron perform on the image so that it returns to the exact location of the pre-image? So they're saying that he translated it 2 inches to the right. So what does he need to do to go exactly back to where it started? So think about that one and answer that. So let's move on to the next section. So here's the step it out that I mentioned in the intro video. If you watch that, not every lesson has this, but most of them will have this as part of the right after the build understanding. So here we go. Number 2, hero draws a sketch of a game piece on a coordinate plane. So that's what they're showing you here. Then he translates it 3 units right and 3 units up. So he's going to move this figure to the right and then also up. Prime notation, adding apostrophes to each letter label, is used to label images. For instance, point A in the pre-image is labeled A prime in the image and read as A prime. Label the image you drew using prime notation. So take a minute, pause the video, and go ahead and draw the image based on translating it 3 units right and 3 units up, and I'll do the same. Okay, so I made this a little bit bigger so that I could draw and it would be a little clearer. So when you move every point up 3 and over to the right 3, then you get this new figure that looks the same as the other one, and these new points, A prime, B prime, this is C prime down here, D prime, what did I do wrong? Oh, F. This is F prime, sorry. Hold on, I'm going to erase that. Okay, so that's A, B, C, D, E. This one's F prime. Okay, so you can kind of see how we did that. We just moved every single point over 3 to the right and then up 3. So that's how you get that new figure. So now what they want you to do in part C is complete the table, and you can see that I did the first one. Well, they did the first one, A prime, but then here is B prime. And you'll notice the pattern there that for A, it's 1, 1. Then for A prime, they added 3 to both parts of the ordered pair. Again, B is 1, 2, and so B prime, 1 plus 3 is 4, 2 plus 3 is 5, and so on. So they want you to fill out that table. Go ahead and take a break, press pause, and do that. All right, then D says, what do you notice about the relationship between X and Y values of each vertex of the pre-image compared to the X and Y values of the image? So they want you to just look at what is the pattern that you notice. I guess I kind of gave it away there. But what are you noticing each time with those pre-image and image ordered pairs? So do that one. Take some time, press pause, and work on that question. Okay, now let's look at E. Translations in the coordinate plane can be described in mapping notation. So this is the way it would look. They have the ordered pair there with the arrow, X plus A, Y plus B, where A is the number of units the figure is translated horizontally, either right or left, and B is the number of units the figure is translated vertically, either up or down. You read this notation as the ordered pair XY is mapped to the ordered pair X plus or minus A, Y plus or minus B. So now they want you to describe the translation of this figure that you drew in mapping notation. So fill in those blanks there. X plus, if you go to the right, then it's a plus. How many spaces did you go to the right? So that would be 3. And then Y in this case, plus 3 also, because you went up 3. What do you notice about the size, shape, angle measures, and relationship between the sides in the pre-image and image? So again, they're asking, do the side lengths change? Do the angle measures change when you did those translations? So think about that, pause the video, answer that question, and then we'll go to the next page. Now this final question in the Step It Out, triangle DEF is translated using the rule XY, the ordered pair XY is mapped to the ordered pair X plus 3, Y minus 4. So they want you to use words to describe the distance and direction triangle DEF is translated. So what's happening is basically what they're asking. What do you do first horizontally, and then what's happening vertically? So with the x coordinate, you're adding 3, so that's going to be moving it to the right in the positive direction. The y coordinate, you're subtracting 4, so that's going to be moving it down in the negative direction. So use your own words to describe how that's changing, how it's being translated. Then they want you to draw the image and label it using prime notation. So again, you'll have point D is 2, 5, and then point D prime will be 2 plus 3, y 5 minus 4, and so on. So they want you to go ahead and draw it and then fill in the table. And then this next section, the check understanding, that's for you to do on your own so that you can kind of check your understanding and see how well you understand the concept of what you did, the mapping notation, all the different ways that translations work. So go ahead and do that one, and then we'll look at the next page as well. This page, the on your own, and the next couple pages are going to be ones that you'll do on your own. So this is just the first page of that. And again, you'll see that the problems are based on what you've learned. Here's the second page for the on your own. Here is the homework, more practice. So if you feel like you need more practice, I would suggest that you do this. And here is the last page, the test prep, which gives you problems that are based on the concept that you learned, that you might see something like this on a standardized test. And then the last 3 questions, the spiral review, is really good to just do that every time. There's only a few questions each lesson, and just to keep reviewing concepts that you've learned. So I hope this video helps, and we'll see you in lesson 3.